a few weeks ago, I saw a video on Sky Sports of Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, and Karen Carney, and they were giving opinions on things that they thought were going to happen for the upcoming season. Champions, they went from pick the Premier League champions, second to sixth, relegated, top goal scorer, impact signing, and I've added a few other ones. So we've got one to watch. Who I think is going to win the Champions League? Who are going to be the flop signings of the season? And which managers I think are going to get sacked before the season ends? I wanted to give my own sort of thoughts on it. It's the first time I'm on video, so we'll see how this goes. And I'm just gonna, give my opinions on each of them. See what you guys think. Some of them are a bit out there. Some of them I think are pretty much with the norm of what people are expecting. I just want to get my thoughts across and say what I think will happen this season. So I'm gonna go for first one, champions. I think it's pretty obvious. Man City. Let's face it. They're going to win 4 in a row. We're 4 games into the season currently. They're on 12 points. They've won every single game. The way they're playing is spectacular. They're scoring goals for fun. Anyone they've sold, they've replaced brilliantly. Gvardiol's come in for Laporte. Doku's come in for Riyad Mahrez. Got Kovacic coming in for Gundogan. They've done brilliantly. They've signed exactly what they need. I think Arsenal last season were a bit of a flash in the pan. I don't think any squad is good enough to compete with them. I think that everyone's still a bit of a distance away. No one has the depth in squad, the ability that they have with the players. Everyone in that team is essentially all round about world-class level, apart from maybe, say, like Nathan Ake or... maybe Grealish. That's for debate. City for me are the ones who are going to walk away with the league. Maybe not get to the heights of say 99 points or 100 like they have before, but they'll definitely be up there, high 80s, low 90s. Then we've got second to sixth. So I'm going to go from who I think is going to be second place down to who I think is going to be sixth place. So in second we've got Chelsea. Bit of an out there one. They've already lost twice. They drew to Liverpool, lost to Nottingham Forest, beat Luton, and they did lose another game. Can't quite think who it was off the top of my head. West Ham 3-1. So it's a bit controversial, but I think it'll click. I think the players they've got, the squad they've got, the manager they've got, all the young talent that's in that team, it will gel, it will work. And I think when Nkunku comes back in, he will have such a big impact on the squad. He'll be their out-and-out goal scorer. That's what they're struggling with the most. Sterling and Jackson aren't doing it at the moment, but I think when Nkunku comes in, he comes deeper, picks up the ball, he'll give them more options and provide more for them. In third place, Arsenal, as I've already said, I think it was a bit of a flash in the pan. They've improved, but there is times this season, the Fulham game, the Nottingham Forest game, even the United game at times, they don't look like they're settled really well together, and I do think they're going to struggle. Timber's obviously out injured. Havertz is not looking good to begin with. And, it's one of those ones that they could go either way. I might be completely wrong. They might trounce everyone and go on to win the league, like put on a great run of results like they did last season. But I just don't see it personally. In fourth place, I have Liverpool. My team, I think we've looked great so far at times. I think the Villa game, we were outstanding. Miles away the better team, blew them out the water. Struggled against Chelsea for 75 minutes that game. Bournemouth, it's a game that we should be winning. And, we've signed brilliantly well, I'd say. We lack a defensive defender, an out-and-out centre-back. Van Dijk's obviously banned for the moment. Konate's injury-prone. Matip's going to be leaving at the end of the season. I'm not really sure, but I just feel like we are going to do well. I think top four's within our grasp. Next up, fifth, I've got Manchester United. Not started the season great. Scraped the result against Wolves. Did well against Forest to come back in after going 2-0 down. They ended up winning 3-2. But against Arsenal, they look poor. And I think the game's only going to get harder for them. None of the new signings have really fit in perfectly. Onana's still looking a bit shaky at the back. Mount's not having any real contribution. Højlund looked good against Arsenal, but beyond that, nothing spectacular. And Amrabat's injured already, hasn't even played yet, so we don't know how he's going to fare. We're going to have to wait and see with this, but at the moment, nothing to say they're going to finish higher. And I've got Brighton in 6th. They've replaced Caicedo really, really well. And let's face it, with the players they've brought in, Dahoud, Fati, there's good players, and they've got the ability, I think, to turn it round and push higher than they did last season, actually. I would see more European football for them next season. Relegated, Luton, Sheffield United and Fulham. Luton and Sheffield United, I think, are given at this point. Fulham, for me, I think they've recruited really poorly in the window. They've not replaced the goals that Mitrovic provides them. Marco Silva might not be there much longer. I know they've had a few good results. Obviously, the game against Arsenal stands out, but there's no goal scoring threat. It's not like the Championship when Harry Wilson's scoring loads of goals. Carvalho isn't there anymore. Mitrovic is now gone. Raul Jimenez isn't going to get you as many goals as he did. And for me, they've fallen behind. I think they've sold poorly. Paulinho as well, he doesn't want to be there. Obviously, he wanted to go Bayern, didn't happen. I can't see them mounting enough to get out of the bottom three. And I have a family member who was saying, Everton will go down, Everton will go down. I just think there's worse teams than Everton. They're going to be in the battle for it, definitely. But I think having Luton, Sheffield United and Fulham are worse teams overall. Everton have just enough to get out of the relegation zone. Fulham are an unknown. They've just lost their best player. A lot of injuries. The manager is having issues at the moment. Players don't want to be there. So we'll see how that goes. Top scorer for me, I've got Erling Haaland. Not really much to say on this, to be honest. He just is going to be, isn't he? Who I think will come second? It's hard to say, really. I mean, no one particularly stands out, if I'm being honest. If Jesus gets going, maybe him. Salah's always up there, we know that. Do Chelsea have anyone? Unless Nkunku comes good towards the end after he comes back from injury, but it is a big injury. So, Haaland for me, he's always going to be the one to win it, let's be real. Impact signing, so I've gone for 3. Only because I couldn't, it's hard to pick, I think, just one, because everyone's going to have different impacts. I've got Declan Rice is my main one. I think for Arsenal, he's already looked like the impact signing. Szoboszlai has been superb for Liverpool, 22 years old. He runs box to box, he's scoring goals, he's a playmaker, he's doing everything right, and he's what we needed. We needed energy in that midfield, and that's exactly what he's doing. And James Ward-Prowse, now I started writing on Nkunku. I scribbled that out because, like I said, he's coming back from a major injury. I don't know if he's going to actually be, how good he's going to be. Whereas Ward-Prowse, we've already seen, he's got a goal and 2 assists. He's going to score them free kicks, let's face it. He's going to provide them loads of assists from set pieces. He's a dynamic midfielder that the club need. I think after Rice has gone especially, he's going to do a really good job for that squad, for that West Ham team. He's a leader, and I think he'd be captain in a year or two, maybe. Depends how long he's there for, really. One to watch, Matoma. He was outstanding. I'd love him at Liverpool. I think he's going to end up somewhere like an Arsenal. I could definitely see him at a Man City, maybe in the future when they lose. Maybe Grealish goes, or Bernardo Silva when he leaves. I could definitely see him in that type of role. He's a goal scorer. He's going to get forward. He's going to get you goals. He's going to provide you assists. I think he's Brighton's top player now, with Caicedo leaving, especially. Evan Ferguson's up there as well. He's another one to watch, but I think Matoma's going to have a fantastic season for Brighton, especially if they finish in that top 6 like I think they're going to. Champions League winner, I've said Real Madrid. I think Madrid in that competition, they're always going to be there or thereabouts. I don't think there's anyone else. I mean, City, you could make the case they could go back-to-back, and they definitely have it in them to do it. But I just think Madrid, with Bellingham, the signing of him, you've got Vinicius Jr. still there. That midfield still quality. Camavinga, Tchouameni, and then you've got Kroos and Modric still. You've got an outstanding defence with the likes of Alaba in the back line. Courtois' injury, possibly, but they've signed Kepa, who I think is going to thrive in the Spanish league. I think the Premier League is too much for him per se. I don't think he had the ability to keep up with everyone. So we'll have to see about that. But I do think Madrid are the ones to go and do it again this season and win the Champions League. As I said, Bayern, it's a bit so much turmoil at the moment with the manager, I think, and obviously Kane's a brilliant sign. They've got a fantastic squad, but I just don't think that Tuchel's going to be the one to gel them together and mount a challenge. PSG, no, it just doesn't happen for them. Could someone like maybe Newcastle, they might go far, but I just think Madrid and City are the only two at the moment that I'm looking at and thinking, you've got what it takes to win the competition. And I know there's teams in the past that have won it who you wouldn't think would win it. I mean, Chelsea a few seasons ago, no one thought they were going to win it, but they did. They come together and did brilliantly to win the whole thing. And it can happen, but I just think Madrid, they're always there or thereabouts. And this season, especially with Bellingham, they're looking phenomenal. Flop signings, so we've got 3. I've already mentioned Jimenez. I don't think he's going to score more than 5 goals, if that, and I don't think he's going to be what Fulham need to go forward, to get them goals, to win them games and keep them in the division. Ross Barkley, he looked decent against West Ham, but nothing too spectacular. Can it really be a flop if you've got them for what they did? But I don't think he's going to provide anything really. And I think there's a lot of expectation on him being the former, Everton and Chelsea player. He's coming into the team to galvanise them, get them to stay in the division, and I can't see it. And Van der Ven, the Spurs centre-back, he was linked with Liverpool at one point. I think the way Tottenham play is very gung-ho, goals, goals, goals. We concede 3, but we'll score 4. And that doesn't look good on defenders, especially a centre-back you've just signed for a decent amount of money, who's meant to be coming in and solidifying that back line. I just don't think he's going to keep up well with the pace. He struggled against Brentford, I think, massively. I may be wrong with that one. To be honest, it's hard to think with flop signing, especially with the money being touted around nowadays. Havertz, a lot of people would say him. I actually think Havertz will do okay eventually. I think once they figure out the best way to fit him into the team, that's when we'll see the best of Havertz. And then finally, sacked managers. Now, these are the ones who I think will be gone by the end of the season. Someone new will come in. Whether the new managers get sacked, I don't know. These are just the ones who I think will be either leave to a different club or be sacked because of poor results. So we've got Gary O'Neill from Wolves. I think last season was just a bit of a fluke. I've seen a lot of other shows saying that he's outstanding. He's this great manager what he did at Bournemouth was superb. I don't know. Wolves haven't started off great. Is he punching above his weight? Is he out of his depth a little bit? Possibly. What he did with Bournemouth was superb. Don't get me wrong, but Wolves is a different thing. They expect to be higher than... Bournemouth always expect to be in that relegation battle. Wolves, not too long ago, were competing on European fronts. And I think he's going to be a bit out of his depth with regards to this one. Marco Silva, I think he'll leave. Saudi will come back in for him. I think the way that league's going, they're bringing in all these players. I think a lot of managers over there are going to get sacked because they're just going to be money, replace, get rid of this person, sign someone new. This manager's rubbish, get a new one in. And I do think Silva will end up over there as a manager of some club. Heckingbottom, Sheffield United. Yeah, I can't really... Again, I think Sheffield United have planned to go down. The signing of Archer, it reminds me of the Ryan Brewster signing, where we'll sign him for loads now. He's not going to do well in the Premier League, but he'll do good enough in the Championship to get us up. Obviously, that didn't happen. But I don't think Heckingbottom's going to be there much longer. He'll go and they'll bring in a manager who can solidify their squad just to try and keep them up. But ultimately, I don't think it'll work. Vincent Kompany. Yes, I think he'll go as well. Burnley are supposed to have this incredible way of playing that is it's reminiscent of the likes of City and stuff. They dominate the possession. They get all the chances in the world. It hasn't worked so far. And I think The signings they made haven't been outstanding. And the Bears, you know, that good, yeah. Trafford, yeah, but nothing screams, you know, Premier League quality. And I think Company is in for a fight. He might stay, and I don't think they'll go down, but I think they won't go down because of the manager who they bring in. I don't know who that'd be, but I think it'll be a case of they slip. They get a new manager in, he gives them the bounce, and they go up the table rather than go down. Sean Dyche, same again. He will go, I think, and they'll sign someone else. That person will keep them up. Dyche is struggling at the moment, definitely with Everton. And last one, Iraola. I think how you pronounce it, the Bournemouth manager. They're trying something new. He's definitely a long-term manager, but it's not working at the moment. They've had flashes of looking good. They look good against Liverpool for their first goal. They've drew 1 or 2, I believe, but nothing too exciting. They've signed great players. There's a good team. Tyler Adams, Max Aarons, David Brook. Like, there's great Alex Scott, even David Brook. Alex Scott, you know, there's good players there. The right manager could make it work. I just don't think it's this man personally. But I want to know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. As I said, it's the first video on camera, so it might be a bit rusty. They are going to get better. But yeah, thank you very much.